Shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahawashi, by Hashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to you brothers and hopeful elect out there pushing His word in truth and sincerity. And for you few sisters out there that watch, Shalom to you too. Alright. This lesson is actually going to be just kind of going through the scriptures, just kind of giving you somewhat of a visual on how things kind of will play out. Now, of course, this is not in stone. This ain't definite 144%, but, this is just kind of somewhat of a visual to kind of give you an idea of how bad things will really be when Yahawashi returns. Because Scripture said, "Woe unto them that look for the day of the Lord." To what end is it for you? As we hope, we hastening unto the day. The hopeful elect is hastening unto the day because we understand that in this kingdom we have no rest, and so thus, we want to get out of here. We want a righteous kingdom under the rulership of Yahawashi. But just want to kind of give you like a little visual, something to kind of put in your imagination, and then, just going through the scriptures, kind of linking things up, and precept upon precept, and also got a couple videos in the end to kind of help put it all together. All right. So first scripture I want to get is establishing the chariots and how the clouds are, going to be, the chariots. This is Psalms chapter 104, verse 3. It says, "Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters? Who maketh the clouds his chariot? Who walketh upon the wings of the wind?" So we see, how in Acts it said that a cloud received Yahawashi up. That was a chariot taking him on up. You know what I'm saying? Alright. I just want to establish that first before I get directly into it. I'm going to read it again. It says, "Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters? Who maketh the clouds his chariot? Who walketh upon the wings of the wind?" As I said, I just want to establish that point there. Alright. And so we're going to head to Revelations chapter 7. I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, "And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel." So the 4 angels stand on the 4 corners of the earth, the 4 hemispheres, and they are holding back that destroying wind from blowing up on the earth. Basically, they're keeping back the destruction because they are set for a day, an hour, and they have a specific time in which the Most High has them set to destroy this place. All right. This is Ezekiel chapter 9. I'm going to start at verse 4. So they're holding back those winds because they have a set time to destroy it, but they're holding back those winds because the elect have to be sealed before they can bring about the destruction. Because you got to remember, the elect are going to be saved. All right, that's who is going to be protected, who the Most High Yahweh is going to protect. All right, this is Ezekiel chapter 4. Now it said that they're going to be sealed, right? All right. This is Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 4. It says, and the Most High said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and cry, and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. So that mark that he's setting in their foreheads, that mark is them being sealed, the elect being sealed. That's what that is. And it said that they sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. Do we not sigh and cry literally day and night about this place, Babylon the Great? We talk about the atrocities. We talk about the unrighteous decrees, everything. We're always crying out to Yahawashi to come save us. We constantly crying out, literally day and night. Even you got brothers and sisters out there that's having these dreams of destruction. Dreams of all kinds and visions of different things. We are literally crying out day and night to come get us, to come save us, to destroy this place. We're crying out for righteousness. That's what we want. That's what those who elect want, is righteousness. All right. Verse 5, and to the others he said in mine hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eye spare, neither have ye pity. So mark the ones that sigh and cry for the abominations. Basically gonna mark them or seal them so you don't touch them, and smite or kill the ones that you don't mark. All right, verse 6, slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark. That's that seal that's going to be in their forehead. And begin at my sanctuary. So begin at Yasharallah, Israel. Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. So don't touch the ones that's marked. Don't touch the ones that's sealed in their foreheads. And what is that seal? This knowledge, this truth, accepting this knowledge and this truth, and understanding it, running, reading it, and all that. All right. So you got the angels holding back the winds until the elect are sealed, and then the angels that's marking the sealed elect to seal them. There's the angels that's marking the elect to be sealed. All right, and then afterwards, then he's gonna have the other angels come behind the ones that mark and slay. They're coming to kill. All right. This is Matthew chapter 24, starting at verse 29. It says, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. All right. Now, in one of the videos, I got the video from Independence Day, where that big chariot, that big chariot comes in, or IFO, the identified flying object, comes in and blocks out the sun and the stars and the moon. And if you notice, you're going to see a shadow coming over everyone, and it's going to get dark. All right. And verse 30, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven. Did we not establish that he maketh the clouds his chariots? So the Son of Man, Yahawashi, is coming in the clouds with power and great glory. That's another visual from that Independence Day, because if you're gonna see that chariot is gonna be cloud cover, and then the chariot is gonna come out of the midst of those clouds. All right, verse 30. So like in verse 31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. All right. So he's going to call his elect up into the chariots. So we always say that he's going to beam you up. That's the angels coming and literally grabbing you up out of the earth to bring you up into the chariots. All right. Now I want to get this in 2nd Ezra chapter 13, starting at verse 5. It says, Second Acts chapter 13, verse 5. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. Now, it says he engraved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. And Ezra is describing how large and how great this particular chariot was. It was so great that he called it a mountain. That's how big and huge it really was in his vision. All right. Verse 7. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. So he's saying, I looked to see, hey, this a big ass mountain. I know I should see a hole somewhere in the earth where a mountain was carved out of. I looked all over, but I could not see where a mountain was carved out of. That's how amazing it was. All right. Now, it says, but I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. Alright, like I said, so he couldn't find where that particular mountain was carved out of, because he couldn't, because it wasn't. That was actually a chariot. Alright, let me get Isaiah chapter 26. So we see we got the angels holding back the winds, all right, for the other angels to set the mark upon the elect to seal them. And then we got Yahawashi coming in the chariots. He coming in, with the chariots and the host of heaven, and he coming in this huge chariot that was described as being like a mountain. All right, and then we got him sending out his angels to gather the elect, to call them up into the chariots. All right, this is Isaiah chapter 26, verse 20. Says, "Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpast. For behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain." So like I said, we got the elect being called up, gathered up into the chariots now. All right. This is Revelation chapter 11, verse 12. It says, "And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither." He's calling the elect up into the chariots. "And they ascended up to heaven in" what? "A cloud." What did we say earlier? The cloud. He maketh the clouds his chariot. All right. "And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them." Now check this out, verse 13. "And the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted, and gave glory to the God of heaven." So like the God of heaven. So as the elect are being called up into the chariots, the missiles and the lasers are coming down, and they gonna create this big earthquake, because it's gonna shake the earth. That's how great it's gonna be. All right. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 15. I'm gonna start at verse 52. And it says, "In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye." That's how quick it's gonna be. It's gonna be like the snap of your finger, twinkling of an eye. When you blink, that's how fast it's gonna be. "At the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall rise incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. Now you hear us talking about we getting those new bodies, those glory bodies. So thus, when we're being called up into the chariot, that's when we're going to get that new body, where this corruption is going to be left here, and we're going to put on incorruption or immortality. All right, because flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven. These bodies are defiled, so they can't go into the chariot. All right, because that's glory there. All right. So I want to go back to 2nd Ezra chapter 13. Now I'm skipping down to verse 8. Check this out. It says, after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. So now we see that we have the huge chariot that was described as being like a mountain, and the war going on. They see it, and they say, well, we don't know what this is, but we finna attack it, because we think it's going to attack us. But they're afraid, but the Most High is going to put the spirit on them to continue to fight, even though they know they can't win. All right? And it says, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor sword, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which were prepared to fight, and burnt them up, every one, so that upon a sudden and of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only the dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. So Yahawashi didn't come down and become a warrior and slice everybody up, anything like that. He spoke the word, and they were all destroyed. All right. Now, in conjunction with that, you still have those nuclear missiles being shot off too. All right. This is going to be Jeremiah chapter 50. Verse 14. It says, put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. All ye that bend the bow, everyone that has those nuclear missiles, those missiles capabilities, all that, shoot at her. Shoot at who? Babylon the Great. And spare no arrows. Meaning everything you got, fire at her. For she have sinned against the Lord. So all these other nations, everybody gonna shoot what they got at America, Babylon the Great. And he say spare no arrows, meaning let it all fly off. Meaning it ain't gonna have no chance at all. All right. This is let's see, Revelation chapter 9, verse 13. All right, check this out. This is going to be like a description of those nuclear missiles. It says, and the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before the Most High, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. Now, did we see earlier we had the four angels holding back the four winds? All right. Now he's saying let the four angels go, because they're going to destroy. All right. Saying, verse 15, and the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men. Those four angels were prepared for a specific time to be let go for the purpose of destruction. Verse 16, And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. That's 200 million when you put that together. And I heard the number of them. Verse 17. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth, and brimstone. And the heads of the horses were the heads of lions. That was the power. The heads were the powers of lions, because they make that roaring sound as they're flying through the air, and their power is there. All right. And out of their mouths issue fire and smoke and brimstone. And that's what comes out of those missiles: fire, smoke, and brimstone. By these three was a third part of men killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. Verse 19, check this out. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were like serpents. Think about when those missiles are shot off and there's smoke, and it leaves that trail of smoke. It's just a long line of smoke, that slithers like a serpent, through the sky. That's why it says described as a serpent. And had heads, and with them they do hurt. They call them nuclear warheads, because when the nuclear missiles are shot off, they go through different phases of breaking apart. The different phases of the different parts of the body of the missile, and up all the way up until that final warhead that's on the end of the front of the missile. It has the power that can create that blast of fire, that nuclear explosion, that mushroom cloud. All right. And I'm going to put a video of that in there too. All right. After this. This is Jeremiah chapter 51. Start at verse 1. Now, when that warhead hits the ground, it is going to create that mushroom cloud, and then that wind, that initial wind, that first blast, that creates that shock wave, that blast, kills everything, but it's not quite the fire. All right, check this out. Jeremiah 51 goes into the destroying wind. It says, "Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me, a destroying wind, and will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her, and shall empty her land, for in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about." Now, who are those fanners? Those angels are going to be fanning. They're going to be adding to that fire, making it hotter. All right? And making it more destructive. Verse 3. "Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her hosts." Meaning destroy everything. Did not it say that those angels that came after the elect were sealed, or they set the mark upon them to slay utterly old and young, women and children, everyone? All right. "Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans," talking about Babylon, "and they that are thrust through in her streets." All right. Now, so the missiles they didn't hit the earth, and they sent out that blast of fire, that destroying wind. All right. Now let's go to Isaiah chapter 24. And it says, "And it shall come to pass that he who fleeth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit, and he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake." Those missiles are shot up, and they're shot up through the firmament, and they're coming down from out the firmament of heaven, and they're gonna shake. They're gonna literally shake and rock this earth. That's how bad it's going to be. Verse 19. "The earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean dissolved." And what's going to be that dissolving agent? That fire. "The earth is moved exceedingly." Verse 20. "The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard." It's going to shake. It's going to rock. It's going to stumble. Like when you get drunk over it, you're going to stumble, you're going to fall, you can't keep straight. It's going to reel to and fro. And shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. Babylon is going to fall. It's never going to rise again. All right. Now, this is going to be, let's see, Zechariah chapter 14, verse 12. All right. So once it hits, that blast comes out. It's going to shake the earth. And when that blast wave comes out, it says, and this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet. Their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. So once that blast goes out and that fire spreads to you, it's gonna burn you up so bad, everything on your body is just gonna dissolve. That's how hot it's going to be. All right. You don't want no smoke from the Most High. You don't want no smoke from Yahweh. Promise you that. This is really scary. Just reading this and thinking about how it's written. And honestly, this is just giving you just some of a visual just to kind of imagine. Ultimately, at the end of the day, our mind can't even fathom how bad it's really going to be. All right. This is going to be Revelation chapter 6, starting at verse 12. It says, and I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, because it hit the earth, and they shook the foundation of the earth. It reeled to and fro like a trumpet, and the sun became black. The smoke went up. It's blacked out from the clouds, from the chariots, as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as the fig tree casteth her untimely figs, when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. That's that mushroom cloud. And every mountain and island were moved out of their places. See that? Everything was moved and shuffled all around. All right. This is 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10. It says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, when you least expect it. Which is why, we have the watchmen, those and apostles on down, to those prophets. These people out here watching, you got your watchmen trying to warn you, let you know this time is coming, but we don't know the exact day nor hour. But of the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements, what is everything made out of? Elements. The periodic table of elements, everything is made out of those elements. And the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. All right. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons are ye to be in all holy conversations and godliness? We don't have time to be bullshitting around. We need to be in holy conversation, be separate, meaning our walk, our talk, our minds need to be focused on Yahawashi, Yahawashi, what's pleasing unto him, and warning our people too. Verse 12, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of God, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. All right. Now, everything is going to be melted and dissolved. The earth's going to be shaken, And finally, in the end, verse 21, like I said, we're going to have the elect up in the chariots. This is Revelation chapter 21, starting at verse 1. It says, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. Because what? The elements were dissolved and melted with fervent heat. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, You got to remember, Israel is a people before it's a place. New Jerusalem is referring to the elect coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. So we're coming down out of the chariots, from in the heavens, prepared as a bride, because as adorned for her husband, because we're going to have those new bodies, those glory bodies, where we put off the corruption and put on incorruptible. So that way we were made fresh. We're going to have that white dress on, and we're going to finally be married unto our husband, Yahawashi. All right? As a bride adorned for her husband. And we're going to be clean. We're not gonna have no guile, no blood, nothing on our garments, nothing on our dress. All right, that's what it's described as. In verse 3, and I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, "Behold, the tabernacle of the Most High is with men, and He will dwell with them, and they shall be His people, and God Himself shall be with them and be their power." And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. All right. And he that sat upon the throne said, "Behold, I make all things new." And he said unto me, "Write, for these words are true and faithful." All right. Verse 6. Check this out. And he said unto me, "It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of water of life freely." So we'll finally be able to take part in the fountain of the water of life. We'll be able to be in the midst of Yahawashi at all times. He's going to be down here with us, or with the elect. All right. And check this out. This is Revelation chapter 22, starting at verse 1. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and of the Lamb. In the midst thereof, in the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river was there the tree of life. Remember, we were not able to take part in the tree of life in the garden. Adam was not able to take part in the tree of life in the garden. All right. Which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. We're going to be able to take part in that tree of life. Finally, we're going to be able to eat of it. And it's going to heal us. That's what it's for. Verse 3. And there shall be no more curse. All right. Those curses brought upon us in Deuteronomy 28, 15 on down to 68. All right. We don't have to worry about that no more. That's going to be gone. But the throne of God and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. And they shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. All right. And the visual I put on that is the end. If you look at the end of that movie, The Knowing, you're going to see those two children running towards that tree. You got to remember, they became, it's a representation of them becoming little children in order to be saved. That's why the children were saved in the movie. And at the end, when the chariots dropped them off and took them to paradise or Eden, they were running to that tree of life because they finally made it. Although the parents were gone, okay, because they were not made, they were not reborn. They weren't born again into little children. All right, so I got those videos coming up after this. So just stay tuned. Just check out those visuals. All right. So with that, shalom.
have positive launch indications Alpha 02 through Alpha 11.